And today, we are going to talk about a scenario that occurs very frequently. So it is quite likely that you find yourself in it. But we really have to understand that, evidently, not everyone comes back. It's a reality we don't like but have to face. Let's say that it doesn't depend on us, the fact of being able to make them come back. What does depend on us is when we have the right behavior, we show this person that we respect them, that we love ourselves, that we are moving forward. Let's say that what we do by doing things right is not preventing them from coming back. That is to say, I can't force you to be with me, but I certainly won't behave in a way that makes you not want to be. I want that in that moment when you might remember me, when you don't feel that doubt when you remember how it was. You lean towards believing that you messed up and lean towards believing that you should make a move and come closer and look for me and not believe that I'm there waiting for you. All of that influences, but no. There are people who are not going to come back, who leave us and are clear about it. And really, the healthier and more mature a relationship is, and it's not that we're in a power game, an ego game, a conflict game, but rather, for whatever reason, well, we already feel that it's our place. It is more likely that it is that await choice. Now, when we are in these relationships that sometimes don't even become formalized, when we are in situations where ego plays a significant role, I can tell you that if you want this person to come, or many times you distance yourself thinking, oh my, this person will never look for me. This person hasn't shown real interest, indeed, because in many cases they don't have it. But something has happened here. And it's that I always reassure people and say, look, I am quite sure what news from this person you will have. They will indeed look for you. Because when you have been feeding a person's ego, which is what you do when, after all, you are engaging in a relationship with someone who doesn't reciprocate, who doesn't give in the same measure, who doesn't make an effort, and even so, you keep closing your eyes sometimes, wanting to see potential, wanting to pull the cart yourself, or simply unable to resist the urge to go back to this person again and again to make a new attempt. You are directly feeding this person's ego. You are feeding their ego. You are making this person feel plump in their self-esteem, feel good, feel uplifted. In many cases, you intoxicate them directly with power. I mean, you give them a sensation. Sometimes we believe that this goes unnoticed, and we are dealing with someone who has never enjoyed or savored that feeling of realizing that I have someone who is smitten with me without me lifting a finger, right? So believe me, certainly, when you feed someone's ego, the moment you stop feeding their ego, some time may pass because this person obviously has a reserve. That is, if you've been after me for a long time, you've given me so much that I've been accumulating what I've received. But sooner or later, the reserve runs out. And in those cases, I tell you that the person comes looking for you. Not because sometimes their feelings have changed. Let's not get confused. Not because in many cases they have the best of intentions. It's their ego. It's their ego that wants more food and will go after it. And an ego that is starving, an ego that has been fed, even the most proud person finds it difficult to control it. Now then, what happens? This is about stopping feeding the ego when we leave, which, oh my, this person never, I see it the other way around. It's like in your case. Let's say that, going back to the previous example, when it's a relationship, more mature, a relationship that has been healthier, and the person leaves, it doesn't mean they can't come back. It's more burdensome. But in the case of returning, we are indeed talking about the likelihood that the intention or the emotions hidden are more sentimental and do come with better intentions, let's say, right? In the case of the person whose ego you were feeding and who wasn't contributing, there are times when there can be a change in the perception of the situation. There's an emotional process. And in those cases, the person will let you know. Because when someone has gone through such a process, they feel genuine guilt for not having appreciated you and will want to express that guilt to you. So it's that person who has a clear intention to win you back, okay? It's that person the person who goes through the no contact process and connects with their emotions and realizes they felt more for you than they wanted to. I've already talked to you about that. That person comes back and wants to see you, wants to meet up, wants to resolve the situation, wants to offer you what they didn't before, and wants a relationship with you because they have feelings for you. The feeling drives them. I don't want half measures. Now, a person who doesn't go through the process, but is an ego you were nurturing and is a hungry ego, doesn't come with those good intentions, but they will definitely seek you out. And it's true that based on how you act, you have a window of opportunity with that ego. That's there, that's hungry. If you don't satisfy it, if you don't immediately give the person what they want, you can leverage that to make them start seeking you out more and more. So, to stay on track, the moment I go to zero contact, in most cases, they will look for you. You leave feeling terrible, I always tell you not to hang your head. In most cases, they will look for you. Now, I have to identify who is truly seeking me from the heart. Smell it out. Obviously, I focus on my own things. What is it? I focus on myself, try to regain my energy, put the focus on me, and move forward. I do my part. As I tell you, I can't force you to come, but I do my part to encourage you to return. I am tending the garden for a butterfly. And if not, I am taking care of my garden, because since no one guarantees that you'll return, I have to keep going. But you will have news in 90% of the cases from this person. Once the news arrives, I identify. If there has been an emotional process here, you will have no doubt, I promise you. That person will want to make it clear to you that this is the case. They will talk to you about regret. They will talk to you about missing you. They will talk to you about wanting something solid. There is the person who, in zero contact sometimes, in that distance, has gone from not feeling they were in love with you to feeling they are in love with you and therefore wants to be with you. However, the one who seeks you out of ego, well, here we are dealing with probes that do not demonstrate emotionality, sometimes insistent probes. Sometimes probes that make an emotional brushstroke, like, I miss you, or I've thought about you, because they seek to obtain information. It's not the foundation. They don't talk to you about the process. And here, you have two options. One is, if you have already progressed within yourself, to say, hey, is it really worth it for me to have to play with this person who comes from ego? Or is it more worthwhile for me to continue on my path, be aware of my worth, and give myself the opportunity to meet someone who sees all the potential in me the same way I see it in that person? You can imagine that I lean towards that option. Especially if you're still very emotionally involved, I recommend that you give it more time. Let's see if this person develops feelings. And if not, don't risk getting into something out of ego. Now, if you are quite recovered, you can play, it doesn't weigh on you, and you feel like it. And also what you had, let's say, you don't tell me, Amanda, I've spent 3 years on this. When we spend a lot of time, they are people who move us a lot, and it's not worth it. Life isn't long enough to spend so much giving years and years to stories that probably won't end the way we want, right? But you tell me, Amanda, it was a story of a few months. It's true that things were unbalanced. It's true that I was the one feeding the ego. But because I was also at a lower point. And now I feel strong, I feel good. And I feel like, let's call it revenge, although in love there shouldn't be revenge. But I feel like revenge. It's true that the moment their ego starts looking for you, that is, it's like I allow you to look for me. I give you just enough, which would be the measure. It would be that from what you give me, I give you half. And I wait. And there will be intervals and you will have to be patient. But if an ego comes because it wants to eat more, don't you satisfy it? Do you always give it half of what you receive? That is, this person talks a lot to you and you hold back. Are you the one who ends the conversation? You don't seek, but when they seek you, you do respond. But if they tell you that you look beautiful, beautiful, you thank them, but you don't return the compliment, we're getting the hang of the dynamic. That is you. Allow yourself to receive. You take on the role that person previously had. You allow them to fill your ego, but you don't satisfy theirs. The more fire they are willing to make, they will have to justify it. And sometimes this justification makes it so that there, not before, but there, we start to invest feelings. Because in the end, I attribute importance to the person based on what I am willing to do for them. Because I justify my actions. So I come to the conclusion, wow, if I have been able to insist again, if I have been able to seek again, if I am still here, then this person must have something special. And then I turn. That is my actions. My behavior is what makes a person special. The more I seek them, the more I am willing to do. That's why many times in unbalanced relationships, we idealize people who are not doing anything for us. Because we lose sight of what they contribute to us. We lose sight of the fact that they are not contributing, and we focus only on justifying everything we are willing to do for them. But here, you also have to keep in mind that when you start playing with the ego, you interrupt the emotional process. That is to say, if you have had something with someone that you consider significant enough to feel, look, Amanda, deep down, I believe this person does feel, but they are not seeing it. They are not valuing me. So don't engage in playing with the ego. Why? Because you interrupt the emotional process. That is to say, there are people who need to feel like they are losing you and need to miss you a lot to become aware of what they feel. And this takes them some time. So when they reach out to you, maybe at first it could be curiosity, it could be ego, it could be that the emotional process has started. But if you then decide to say, okay, I think I'm better, I'm going to try to play and manage this. Hey, you might end up succeeding that way, but you might also not be ready to handle it and interrupt the process. Why? Because you are showing the person that they still have you there to some extent. Yes, you're not like before, right? If you do it well, that's another thing. You're not like before, but you're still there. I mean, they don't have to face the final emotion of, wow, I've lost this person and I no longer have the option to get them back. Because even if you're giving them responses with less investment, this person senses that if they try a little, they can get you back. On the other hand, when someone tests the waters with you and you don't respond, and you don't reply to the message, and a few days go by without any news, and a week passes if they write to you again, and you don't respond, that person is faced with the idea of, okay, I messed up, I had my chance and I've lost it, and now I have to live with it. And once they accept that, in that distance where they already believe they've lost you, it's when one of two things happens. Either it's not worth it to them, or suddenly they can be overwhelmed by all those feelings and say no. No, I realize now that I did have feelings. I realize now that I am willing to do what it takes to win back this person's affection, right? So you have to keep that in mind. Now, more or less, perhaps, when you've just left the situation or have taken some distance, you don't see it so clearly because everything is tinged with that romantic hue of the story itself, right? But when you've already had a month or two of no contact, your perspective has changed. The way you view what you've experienced has changed, and you see clearly, right? And there you can realize, okay, is it really likely that this person has feelings stored away that they should become aware of? Or am I increasingly realizing that what we had wasn't that significant? That it's likely I was the one who invested more, who got more excited, who fantasized a lot. So if they come looking for me out of ego, it's plausible because I fed their ego abundantly. But to expect that if I ignore their ego, they will come looking for me for something sentimental is less likely. If I am a sitero or sitera, it's less likely. I mean, you have to calibrate. Not all situations are the same. They are not the same in terms of how you are, how much this person affects you, how much time you've invested, whether it's worth it for you or not. I mean, I say, when in doubt, go for the sure thing. When in doubt, you commit to an all or nothing. Truly. Now then, if you don't have that much emotional investment either, you're kind of okay. You can calibrate, calibrate and realize, okay, it's likely that this person will seek me out, yes, for ego, but it's likely that it won't go beyond that. Am I willing, or is it worth it for me to try to play by not feeding their ego, to push, and by investing, get them to justify and fall in love? Well, that's a personal choice of yours. But I'm telling you that in most cases, when you leave very convinced. This person is never going to look for me. When you have fed someone's ego, you have a lot, but a lot of chances that they will come back for more. Really, it's like that. I'm not saying it to console you because it's not exactly a huge consolation, but hey, it does help because let's not kid ourselves. We also have an ego that we feel is hurt. And when that person comes looking for us to feed theirs again, it repairs ours a bit. It feeds ours a bit. And hey, that's not a bad thing. In terms of self-esteem, it's not a bad thing. In terms of, even if you reject and keep moving forward, it always feels good. Well, I hope this video is helpful to you, that you liked it. If that's the case and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, of course, I invite you to do so. Click the bell because I would love for us to see each other again very soon. And until then, I send you a kiss, a big one.